Oh, hello. I'm back for more of my licensed game video game shenanigans, continuing my look at the series of video and electronic games based on Gargoyles. And I had to add some words in there because there was just one video game based on the Gargoyles TV show from 1995, or 1994 anyway, the show. There was a 1995 Sega Genesis game, which I have already looked at and talked about quite a bit. And then I look at again because I'm going to play the remastered version of that game, and it's the exact same game, just better art and music and other remastered elements. But really, it's the same game. But whatever. I'll play it again. That's fine. But yeah, I looked at the Sega Genesis version, and I've looked at the canceled SNES version, which is really the only thing available to look at is a prototype or a work in progress build that was very work in progress. It's missing almost everything, but it is possible to launch the SNES ROM for that work in progress build and just kind of like poke at it. You can kind of see the test levels. You can see some of the basic building blocks of levels and some of the music and gameplay, but there's nothing there. It's not a playable game. But thanks to Chris Shrigley, the programmer from the Sega Genesis version, he archived the source code for the Sega version and also shared source code for SNES for educational purposes, and it's out there, and it's available just to fire up that SNES ROM and see what's there. So I checked out all that stuff. Now we're looking at the, you've already been seeing it, and in fact, let's just fire up some images at this point. Yeah. It's the Tiger Electronics LCD handheld called Gargoyles Night Flight, I believe. Yes, Night Flight. It's a mid-90s Tiger Electronics game. By this point, I guess dumbing down gameplay isn't the term for what they were doing, but they're licensed games based on properties or TV shows like this that were, aimed more toward the younger crowd. The gameplay is very simple. It's not difficult to understand. It's no like Game & Watch where it just kind of loops forever and gets harder and harder, or Tetris or something. It's very simple gameplay. This game is comprised of really like 5 stages, and you do the same thing in all of them. It's just that they throw more and more enemies at you as you progress. And I've seen this before with a game I already looked at called Mighty Max, also from Tiger Electronics, also based on a TV show, which was based on a toy line. So, and it's the same situation where that series got one game and like one LCD handheld or two. And then Gargoyles took the same route, where they were just... Tiger Electronics got in when they were selling this license out for various things, and then included this LCD handheld game. And you're looking at some of the images here. That's what the handheld itself looks like, as you can see on the top right as well. When it's in its packaging, here they kind of explain what's going on. You play as Goliath. You always play as Goliath in these things because of course you would. He's the guy. You have to complete each stage before the sun turns into the moon turns into the sun. So basically, you have a timer per stage. Dictated by the progression of the moon across the sky, which I think was pretty neat. But yeah, that's some basic info about this game. But a couple of other things before I start looking at gameplay footage. One is, let's see if I can bring it up here. We've got this. There it is. We've got this. So what you're seeing here is something I came across just while I was doing some research. This YouTuber, David, quote unquote, Mame Haywood, discovered that Gargoyles Night Flight is the exact same game as this Superman LCD handheld from Tiger. And if you, I'll play back some of this footage so you can see. There we go. So, hold on a second. Yeah, I was going to turn on my volume, but that's fine. But yeah, you can see here, it's the same game. Yes, it's just interesting because what Mame Hayes discovered is that these two games were released as part of an update to MAME, which has apparently been emulating these LCD handhelds. I didn't know. I still haven't fired up the Gargoyles Night Flight ROM, or the emulated version of it. I haven't played it yet, but here you can see this side by side that demonstrates that the gameplay is one-to-one exactly the same. And that's because the code The underlying code is also exactly the same. The only difference is the graphics that are being displayed on the screen. Right? Like the background obviously is just a printed piece of paper, but like the visuals of Superman and Goliath and the various enemies, it's all just exactly the same with different visuals. So I thought that was just a neat bit of info about this game, and the fact that it's just basically a clone. I didn't look up which one of these came first, but it doesn't matter. You can see what happened, which is that Tiger Electronics, when they were trying to pitch this to Disney or whoever it is that sold them the license, demonstrated like, look, or rather, when they sold this pitch to one company or the other, they just had a version of they demonstrated the game. They said, hey, look at this game. Does this work for you? And everyone said sure, and they reskinned it, and that was it. So, yeah, just a neat bit of background on, I guess, development and what these games was like. All right, we're gonna make that go away. Oh, hold on a second. Let me make sure I muted that. Okay. So there we go. We looked at some of the images. We looked at that bit of info about how they cloned Superman or Gargoyles. Who knows which one it came first. And then finally, we're going to actually look at some gameplay footage of this game, Gargoyles Night Flight. You can see there when I started this run, my previous score, 7850, that'll be changed for sure. Oh no, I'm not getting audio. But I'm guessing that's because I need to do something else. Well, you've been hearing this the whole time, but now I'm getting audio as well. And not that the audio is critical to these games anyway. It's all very basic. Alright, so what's going on here? You have a score. You don't have health, but what you do have is if you take damage from enemies in this game, you lose time. See, basically you take a time hit of, let's say, 1 second or 2 seconds per hit, and that causes the moon in the background on the left there to progress through the sky, and it basically speeds up the day, the timer. And that's a problem because you need to basically survive until this shows up. There's a page of like a magic spell book that you have to collect, like I just did there in this first stage. So every stage is basically a wave of enemies come at you, and you just need to take them all out and survive long enough for the page to appear so you can scoop it up and complete the stage with the page in hand. And of course, like any of these LCD handhelds, there's also like an arbitrary score. It was still... I think scores were going away by this point, more or less. In this like explicit sense of having what is called a score. You still had collectathons and stuff, but yeah, the score thing was going out. But Tiger Electronics, they stuck with it through all their stuff. I guess just to give it more replayability. I mean, that would have been it. It was just so you could pass it to your buddy and say like, "Oh, beat my score." Yeah, so you can see here that some of the enemy types are the Steel Clan robots who look like Goliath, some ninjas, some like random goons, like Xanatos goons. Xanatos being the kind of the main villain of the show. Well, one of the main villains. The instigator of a lot of stuff in the show. That's what he is. It's very simple. There's only two positions for Goliath. It's on the left and right. So you basically have to get in position, punch the enemy, and so what it turns into is just moving left and right. Oh, there you can see there I called for help. There's a call button, and when you call for help, you call in one of your buddies that they clear out the screen. Any enemy on the screen when they show up will disappear. It's a bit weird. The manual... Hold on, while I'm here, I can look at the manual. The manual seems to say, like, you can only call your buddy once per stage, but as you can see there on the left, there's a call meter, and you have 4 different calls you can make. So you could basically, you have a call a friend feature here, where it's like, hey, help me out, and they come in and help you. But it certainly felt like if you call them too much, there might be a penalty. So if you see me not call them that much, it was because of that. I didn't want to risk any potential penalty in the game. Alright, they talk about how you can get points. No, I need to find info about the buddy system. And you can see that they ratchet up the obstacles too. There's lightning bolts now. Enemies are more frequent. Enemies, showing up kind of on screen at the same time, so there's a lot more happening. And like I said before, if you take a hit, you lose time. So you're just really trying to dodge everybody and take them out, so they don't get a chance to shoot you. There's one more Steel Clan dude. Yeah, I just don't see anything about the buddy system. As far as the button layout, you can see there on the top right, it's basically dodge left and right. That's what the left buttons are. The punch button is that top capsule, and then the call button is that bottom one, so really simple layout. Alright, was that stage 3 or 4? That was stage 3, so now we're in stage 4. Out of 5. So at this point, this is where we are going to see Xanatos, and after this, Demona will show up. Sorry, I'm sitting here reading. Titillating television. I can't find it. I could have sworn I read that you can only call your buddy once per stage. Huh. You can call on your fellow gargoyles for assistance in each of the 5 areas. Huh. Well, I don't know where I saw it, but I thought I read that somewhere. Alright, there's Xanatos in the helicopter. He shoots downward and to the right. Basically shoots you in either the bottom position or right position. And you have to get out of the way before the bullet fire gets you. Yeah, I tried to not make it too shaky, but my camera's set up. The camera's sitting on like a neck holder thing, and yeah, it did some stuff. Yeah, this happens too. Sometimes if you take out the helicopter the first time too quickly, you just sit there for an undetermined amount of time while the game decides it's gonna load. I'm guessing it's waiting for the moon there, the timer to tick over. There it is. So now, yeah, there it is. I think it's just waiting for like the final showdown helicopter. Yeah, because the first 3 stages, it's not clear what triggers the page. But in the last 2, you have to defeat Xanatos at the end, which is what I just did. We grab the page, and then after this, it's going to be Demona will show up. We have to beat her to get the page to show up in the end. I like that background. It's a pretty good background. It's, gargoyles do spend a lot of time in the sky, so that fits. You can see the Xanatos skyscraper where the castle is over on the far right side. I don't see a clock tower. No, there's no clock tower, which is where the gargoyles live in season 2 of the show. Because they eventually realize, like, yeah, we shouldn't be living with our arch nemesis. It's a bad roommate situation. Dang, yeah, you can see here it starts to really ratchet up the challenge. Ninjas are throwing ninja stars and sticks. There I called Bronx. Here's where I have a dumb gripe, which is when Bronx shows up, he's in the middle of the air, but he's the one gargoyle who does not have wings. He really should have been standing on the roof to the right, and then the one gargoyle that shows up there on the roof should have been in the air in the middle, but again, very dumb gripe. I think a more serious gripe, if anything, is the gameplay is very, very simple. Like, you can fail this, I guess, by not getting all the pages, but you'd have to be just real bad at this game to fail it. It's just, or rather, like, maybe you fail once and that's it. It's just so straightforward and easy to understand. But yeah, unlike the Mighty Max game I mentioned, which is similar sort of design, similar gameplay to this, that one felt more challenging, I think. And it was because you were supposed to be collecting these gems along the way, and that, I forget what that does, but... Oh, there's Demona. So it's a pretty cool boss fight, as these things go for LCD handhelds, because she shows up on the left, right, and bottom. It's your objective to just kind of like go back and forth and try to take her out. I think I called in help too. You can see the moon is already kind of at its last step there before it turns into the sun. I don't show a fail state in this run, but it's fine. You don't need to see a fail state for this very simple game. There's the winning screen. There's the thing I mentioned about Lexington on their far right, and Bronx next to him. They really should have swapped, because that, again, Bronx has no wings. And that was it. Now it's just looping back to the beginning. But that is Gargoyles Night Flight from Tiger Electronics. It's, I don't know what else to say. It's a very simple, straightforward game. Appropriately rare. Like, it's the same thing as the video game that got released in 1995. Both of these things dropped at a time when these types of games are dying. Like, people are moving on to more complex types of games, systems that have 3D, and none of this stuff is 3D. So this game, like the Sega Genesis game, is rare and expensive now, because I don't think there were that many made in the end. So I think both things go for like hundreds of dollars. I forget what I paid. I hope it wasn't that much, but I do know I paid more than I should have. Rather, more than the 20 bucks this would have cost if you bought it in the store in 1995. So, but hey, there you go. Now you have legit footage of this thing as we go. So I could speak against that. Although now that I discovered it's being emulated in MAME, maybe I should be playing that. I don't know. But that's it for this playthrough, and that's it for this video. After this, we're looking at, I think the game I was most excited to check out. That I'm not even going to say what it is. It'll just be the next video in this little series, looking at Gargoyles. But yeah, until that video, that's the end of this one. Until the next one, I'll see you.